Yo, what up? It's your boy, King Mumbles, KingsCourtNetwork. We've got a new episode of Holding Court with King Mumbles. We're going to be doing an interview today with a rapper, Zen Starwalker. He should be coming in shortly. All right, so we are going to just be going over his career and um, you know, just promo with the local Toronto artist who's been doing a lot lately with it, the music and everything like that. Um, while we're waiting, I can share some other things that I am doing. So we are going to be bringing back the Wild Out Wednesdays live streaming, which would be on TikTok, King's Court 905, where what we are going to be doing is we will be doing music reviews and having freestyle sessions and eventually doing talent shows and other things that we can produce on there, as well as very shortly I should be bringing back my scripture show, Real Talk Scripture, where we just we look at the modern world um, and how to navigate that, but doing that through a scripture based lens. We'll be talking about, controversies, conspiracies of the church, just a whole bunch of other topics, anything that interests my audience. All right, so Zen is on his way. So Zen is on his way. So while we are waiting for him, hey, Amaya, what's up? Thank you for coming through. So the interview should be starting shortly there. So yeah, so other content that we will be coming out with, it's going to be some bringing back more battle rap talk. So predictions, previews, things of that nature. And yeah, no, my first love is music. So we will be doing as much as we can with music and promoting artists of that nature. So if you are an artist or an entrepreneur, or just an industry insider of the entertainment business, singer, songwriter, anything of that nature, and you're interested in getting introduced, especially if you have a project or something that you would like help promoting, definitely contact me. Uh, you can find me with King's Court ENT or King's Court 905 on most um, social media there. I'm gonna play some music, maybe one of my open verse challenges while we wait. I feel playing old song while we wait here. Okay? So, all right, we're just loading up that song now. While we wait for Zen to show up. Hi. So yeah, hopefully that he's coming here soon. He just said yeah. Play this one. All right, so I'm just gonna play some open verse challenges while we wait.
In this bitch, I can't tell if I'm drunk or is it tense in this bitch. She my hands off her hips. She tastes sweet like she got auntie hands on her lips. Yeah, pussy good, hoe they for ransom and shit. In the club, shawty telling me I'm handsome and shit. Lance in this bitch, I can't tell if I'm drunk or is it tense in this bitch. She with all of her friends in this bitch. She gon' dance cause she see all of these bands. Lance in this bitch. I can't tell if I'm drunk or raise a tans in this bitch. She with all of her friends in this bitch. She gon' dance cause she see all of these bands in this bitch. Yeah, I can't keep my hands off her hips. She tastes sweet like she got auntie hands on her lips. Yeah, pussy get hold they for ransom and shit. In the club, shawty telling me I'm handsome and shit.
I don't know what's going on right now with him, so I'm hoping he gets here soon. All right, so let's see what else we can play. Oh, here it is.
Stop playing. Lance in this bitch. I can't tell if I'm drunk or raise a tans.
All right, so we're gonna bring him. Hey,
Hey, what's going on? What's going on?
what's up? What's up? Okay, so we're just gonna get things started. All right, everybody, welcome. This is King Mumbles. This is Holding Court with King Mumbles. It's our interview show where we just giving people a chance to get some shine, get some flowers, let you know their skills of what they do. And, you know, I just like, especially with music, it's my thing. I like to give opportunities where I can. So we have today with us Zen Starwalker, the local artist here from Toronto. Zen, so introduce yourself to the people, let them know what you do and who you are.
Hey, thanks for having me. My name is Zen Starwalker. I'm a hip hop artist and a beat maker. Uh, I guess a singer as well, kind of. But yeah, I just make music and try to fit the vibe.
Okay, so we're just gonna go through some questions and conversate with that. So I'm surprised I haven't asked anybody else this, and I'm gonna start asking artists, but I have to ask you, how did you get your name?
That's uh, that's an interesting story. I've had three different artist names now.
Oh,
Um, but the way that I got this name, Zen Starwalker, is actually a Chinese translation that I went through the whole, want to be cool, do kung fu thing, and became a
mm,
Buddhist monk. And my shifu or teacher gave me the name Chen Xingzhi, which, when you translate it to English, is Zen Starwalker. So I started using that for everything.
okay, that's actually kind of cool.
Thank you.
So you're an actual, like an official Buddhist monk?
I'm a bodhisattva. I was Buddhist while I was in temple, but then I left temple and became a bodhisattva. Basically,
Okay,
what that means is it's a monk who leaves temple to go out into the world to save people from suffering.
nice. Okay. Okay. So, how long have you been doing music there? So you said you had two other names, so it seems like it's been a while. How long have you been doing music?
I think I started making music roughly 2005. It was just guitar, recording my guitar stuff. Um,
Um,
and then I started sampling the guitar and messing around with like a pirated version of Fruity Loops and
mhm.
learning how to make beats. And then I think maybe 2 years after that is when I started freestyling. And my friends, I just did it to make my friends laugh when we were all, partying and stuff.
Mm.
Eventually, I got good enough at it that they were like, hey, you should record stuff. So in 2009, I recorded my first song, dropped my first album. 2010 dropped another album. 2011 dropped another album, and then changed my name. So my first name was Sacred Age, and then my second name was Spirit Scientist, and then eventually I dropped the Spirit Scientist and just stuck with Zen Starwalker.
Okay. And um, would you say um, any major differences in the characters behind the different names,
Uh,
or the
I wouldn't say like much difference. I guess it's always been kind of the same context. I've kind of stepped away from the context of stuff that I was making before because like when I first started and like most of my career, it was all anti-industry, anti-government, the anti-Illuminati conspiracy theory stuff, right?
okay?
Just it's not I guess maybe now people would get it, but back then
Yeah.
people didn't really get it. All they wanted to do was fight about everything. So I think roughly around 2022, I just stepped away from that stuff for the most part. I still put some of it in there, just more relevant stuff. But I just wanted to make more like music that people could relate to. So yeah, I don't know. I still slip it in there though.
So, um, what would you say, like right now, like your goals would be like for music? Is it trying to get signed? Is a career just to make music? Like, what's your goals?
I think I definitely don't want to get signed. That's unless I could find like an independent label that could like respect, the
Mm,
contingencies that I want as an
yeah,
artist and like give me like the majority ownership of my branding and my image.
yeah,
Probably will never happen though. So I just stay independent. I mean, I have my own label that I release everything under, but it's not like anything official. It's called Shadow Magic. Um, but yeah, I think my main goal is the message. I just want people to hear the messages that I'm putting out there. Um, and it's almost every day somebody messages me, whether it's on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, saying they heard one of my songs and it stopped them from like killing themselves or helped them through a breakup or stuff like that, right? So
Yeah.
it's a lot of motivation for me to keep putting the music out there. I just wish that it would reach more people that need to hear it.
Okay. And like, do you have like a marketing plan and stuff to do that, or you're just hoping organically the music will get out, or
Just organically, I mean, with my Instagram, you know, I post one video about the war in Gaza and it went viral, and all of a sudden I had over 100,000 followers on Instagram. Um, but it's very like hit and miss. Even with that much of a following, you can post something and 90% of the people won't even see it. They don't even see it in their feed or anything, right? So I actually am in business management college right now, in honor roll as well. And the next module we're doing after this module is marketing. So I'm going to learn the ins and outs of marketing, everything that I need to do.
okay. With that, because I was gonna you've been doing it since 2005. So, what are your thoughts like on the music scene? We'll start like Toronto, because you've been doing it since you said 2005. So you've seen like a good amount of change, like this, the blowing up of streaming and the content. So what do you think of the Toronto scene now? And what do you think of it in comparison to when you started?
Well, that's an interesting question because like when I started, it was all boom bap this, boom bap that, all like underground,
Yeah.
hardcore, old school, just hard hitting beats and just the most savage lyrics. Um, and like there are still people that do that. They're just like really rare. There's a few gems, but they're pretty rare. Um, and like the scene the scene hasn't really changed much if you think about it. It's the young bucks, going for gold, and then the old heads tell them the young bucks that they're they need to calm down and just live. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of full circle. It's been that way, even since like the 80s and 90s. When Choclair like blew up, like everybody was Choclair. Now nobody, like none of the younger people know who he is, but
Yeah.
he was the first king of Toronto before Drake.
Mm.
Like, and that dude's legendary. He was the first Canadian artist to go platinum, like, or I guess Canadian rapper to go platinum. But now it's just I have a lot of love for the scenes, whether it's Kingston, Toronto, Ottawa, the GTA in general. I just find a lot of people are getting into the rap and then they're just fighting with each other and then people end up dead.
Mm.
It's unfortunate to see that. People, like, artists should be lifting each other up and not feuding with each other, right? And if they did that, then there's more of a market worldwide for them to branch out and go on tours around the world and stuff. Like,
Yeah, that's very true. Because like I know a couple of the artists, like people say that like Drake didn't put anybody on, but I know a couple of the artists that he tried to put on, he couldn't because they weren't allowed to travel hardly anywhere
yeah,
because
yeah,
of
I know
the record.
he put Pressa on, and Pressa went, and toured with him and stuff.
Yeah.
I know he tried to put Top Five on, but then Top Five went on a little murdering spree. So
Yeah. P Rain and stuff, and
yeah,
but
well,
so
I got love for them all. Like, I don't care if they're Crips, Bloods, or whatever they want to be. If they make good music and I can relate to the music, I mess with it. I like it.
yeah, definitely. Um, with more on the scene, but I guess worldwide. Like, what do you think of like the music scene now, like especially with the streaming and how like most artists are expected to be content creators. I call it the content creation era. So, like, what do you think about that and how that's affecting the music scene? Is it
Well,
affecting you?
in a way, it kind of affects me, and I've had this conversation a lot recently with a lot of different people. But now with the social media, everything has to be social media, this, that, or else it didn't happen. Like you could
Mm,
say punch somebody out in the street and your knuckles are bleeding, and you tell your buddy about it. Oh, do you have a picture? Do you have a video? Oh, well, then it didn't happen. You're capping, right?
yeah.
um it's good because it's giving a lot of people that didn't have a voice before a new voice. But unfortunately, the way a lot of the streaming platforms, especially Spotify and Twitch, the way that they
Mm,
handle artists and content is archaic and mediocre at best. I mean, Twitch and Spotify, they favor people who already have big followings. And if
yeah.
you don't have a big following, you get pushed to the side while the other person's getting all the views and the comments and the love and stuff, because these platforms are making massive money off of that. So if you don't make the platform money, they don't want to promote you. But if you make them money, they'll put you right at the front of their page.
Mm, sure, I've heard that and stuff before, how they do the splits and all of that stuff is off there.
Yep.
So, do you do any content creation with your stuff to go along with the music, or you don't really do the social media too tough?
Um, I do like maybe the bare minimum. I'll make posts on social media. I'll share people's stuff, whatever. Um, I rarely promote my own music through my social medias. And then also on the side, I do content creation, but it's gaming. I do like Minecraft, Pokemon stuff, right? But it's under a
Okay.
completely it's under a different name, a whole different thing. I separated the music from the gaming because people were getting confused why this guy talking about punching out the prime minister is laughing with his friends playing Minecraft, right? So
Yeah.
they don't really understand that. So I had to separate that. But like the most content creation that I do as an artist is music videos. Other than that, it's just networking, right?
Okay. Um, so, uh, question I would say is like you've been doing this now for I guess almost 20 years. So what would be a thing that you've learned doing this that you wish you knew in the beginning? Like you wish like you had a mentor and somebody told you, what are a lesson or two that you've learned by trial and error that you wish you knew in the beginning of your career?
There's a massive list of all the things that I could list off, but I guess I'll pick out the three most important things. One, the number one thing is any promotion is good promotion. Doesn't matter if it's positive, negative, neutral. If it has people saying your name, whether it's good or bad, it's promoting your art. It's promoting your work. And out of 10 people that say, "Oh, I hate this guy, I hate his music," telling other people about it, those other people will go listen to it and be like, "Well, I love this guy and love his music. I'm going to tell people about it." Right? And so it kind of like trickles down the grapevine, whether it's negative or positive, right? Um, Number two would be stop focusing on how clear the music is or how good your recording is. If people like it, they're going to like it regardless of how good the quality is. And I think, artists like Ski Mask, the Slump God, and XXX Tentacion prove that
Mhm.
because they were recording on some pretty janky equipment and went viral anyways, right? Um, and then I think the third, I I would say this is probably the most important, but I'm going to put it third anyways because it's not something a lot of people think about. Um, but collaborating with other artists, whether they're smaller than you, bigger than you, whether they have no following or a massive following, collaborating with other artists around the world is the best marketing strategy that you can do, because then you're getting into their pocket and they're getting into your pocket, so it's mutually beneficial.
True. All right. How would you describe your style?
Ooh. Diverse, I guess. That's a hard one, because like my style can vary. It really depends on the beat. Um, like depending on how the beat sounds can change up my whole demeanor, my whole sound. Because I do everything from R&B to boom bap to trap to, you know, dark emo rap to sad stuff. Like I'm all over the place. Um,
Okay.
yeah, it's a hard thing to describe. Diversity is just the best thing that I can use to describe it, because like I'm in a bunch of different pockets when it comes to that.
All right. So I ask all artists and any music. So this question: who is your top five of all time rappers?
Oh, number one, easy. His name's Memphis Reigns. His government name is Romelo de los Santos.
Okay.
This dude, like, is probably the reason that I had started rapping the way that I rap, or how I managed to get good at rapping. Because like his cadence, his flow, everything about everything that he did was just amazing. He still makes music and stuff, but he's in the military now, so he just drops projects every once in a while. But um, him and an artist named Genelec had released an album called Scorpion Circles. Scorpion Circles. This is back in like 2001, I think, something like that. And they were like in the same, I guess, kind of category as like Danger Mouse and Gemini, Jedi Mind Tricks, that kind of stuff, right? But they were just a whole other level. The stuff they were saying, the way they rapped, it was just crazy. So I'm gonna have to give number one to Memphis Reigns and number two to Genelec. They are like the pioneers of like the final golden era of boom bap.
Okay.
Just out of the late 90s into the early 2000s, right? Number three, I'm gonna have to give to Big Pun. Is like a massive influence to me, the way that he rapped and stuff. I think it was Boomerang was the first song I ever heard by him, and my friend was showing me when I was in Chicago, and he's like, listen to this artist, and I'm like, I'm on layover for my flight and like just skateboarding downtown Chicago, and he's like, yo, listen to this, and I'm like listening to Big Pun Boomerang, and I'm like, I've never heard anything like it before, right? So I fell in love with Big Pun's music, and unfortunately he passed, but that dude is legendary. Number four,
Sure.
I'm gonna have to say Suicide Boys. Just the raw emotion in their music and the different styles that they do is just it's beautiful. It's like a beautiful tragedy encapsulated in music. So I actually started like a side project that's called Ohm Gang, like Ohm as in like the symbol behind me here. That is Suicide Boys type music, but it's like very spiritual. And that's dropping soon. I've got like a stack of songs now, and it's like it doesn't sound anything like any of the other stuff that I do. And then number five, it's a tie between four artists.
Okay.
All equally. It's going to be XXX Tentacion, Ski Mask the Slump God, Juice WRLD, and Lil Peep. Like their era, like they should be at number one, but I love Memphis Reigns so much. But their era of the sad boy hip hop or sad boy, whatever you want to call it, is just beautiful. Like I don't know how else to describe it. Everything they did was flawless, even if it was flawed.
I have to say, you probably have the most eclectic list that I've ever received for a top five. Like some names that other than Big Pun, some names that like no one else has listed there yet. Um, actually, I forgot to ask you. So, how did you get into music? Because you said that you play guitar, so you obviously know some instruments. Like, how did you end up like getting into it, like, and into hip hop in general?
Hmm. Well, I think my first love for music was like the stuff my parents were listening to. It was like, you know, Def Leppard and Metallica, stuff like that. Whatever was popular in like the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad started listening to like Eminem. My dad dyed his hair blonde. He did the whole Eminem thing, right?
Okay.
So he started listening to that. So I started listening to Eminem, and then from that I started listening to Snoop and Dre and like, Kaniva and all like the circle of those people, and then like 50 Cent and stuff too. But I guess pre Eminem, the first hip hop that I ever heard in my life, like it was like, you know, if you could imagine like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, like this is what I found. It was A Tribe Called Quest, and
Okay.
the song was a Award Tour. It was on, Thrasher, Skate and Destroy. Like I was a big skateboarder, right? So I was playing all the skate games.
Yeah.
And then I remember hearing like that like jazzy hard hip hop, and we're on a world tour with Muhammad, my man. I was just like, what is this? Oh my god, this is amazing. How come I've never heard anything like this before? So back then there barely any internet. Like there was a local library that had like the worst dial-up ever. So I went to the library, looked up A Tribe Called Quest, and downloaded like 3 songs and put them on my MP3 player or whatever the hell it was. And I listened to those 3 songs like religiously for months. And the other song was Buggin'.
Yeah.
And that's, poof. And then Electric Relaxation. I think Electric Relaxation was like the thing that made me fall in love with boom bap and the golden era of hip hop. And then my dad started listening to Eminem, all this stuff. So I got into that. But then, it was like the early 2000s is where I found Genelec and Memphis Rain, Son of Ran, Hypoetical, all these underground artists. And, I was rapping along with their songs, which I would say influenced me to start rapping, but it's not quite what did. What the kicker was I was playing The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for Nintendo 64, and the music would play on loops, right? And then I just start rapping to the music that was playing, and I'm like, man, I should make these into beats. And then that's how the whole thing started. That's the beginning.
So, would you say that you're a rapper who produces or a producer who raps?
I would say I'm a rapper who produces. I used to make a lot of beats. I've got over 500, I think, in my category or in my catalog. Now I rarely make beats at all. And I'm just like, I'm cycling through all the old ones that I want to use, and the rest I just kind of just give them to people, or they just sit there doing nothing. I would say I started out as a producer who raps, but now it's the opposite. But I do like beat battle competitions and stuff too. I've won like 5 championships now, and
Okay.
yeah.
So you're saying you have projects going up. Yeah, those are pretty much the questions. So if you want to let people know about like what projects you have coming out soon and what to look for, what what's been dropped recently, tell them what to look for and how to find you.
All right. So I guess my main platforms are Instagram and Spotify. Just Google searching Zen Starwalker will bring all that up. I also have my website where I release everything for free. And yes, it can play while your phone screen is off. So I've got Spotify Beat because I'm just releasing this stuff for free, and you can go about your business, turn your phone screen off, and still listen to it. Um, as far as projects, my most recent project, I've just been dropping singles. I'm not doing albums anymore. Uh,
Yeah.
so my most recent one was called "Touch the Stars." I dropped it on the 28th of last month. Um, and upcoming projects. So on the 28th of every month, I drop a new song. This one, this 28th, I'm dropping a song called "My Confession." Uh,
Mm.
it's a very hard, uh, exhilarating kind of track with a lot of yelling and anger, I guess. But um, and then I'm also doing a song with Ty, who is a very fast up and coming artist who's actually from here in Kingston, but he's mostly in Toronto and stuff.
You
So
talk
that should
about
be,
PY Mizzy?
oh no, Ty, like
Oh, okay.
TEWHY. Um, so I have that coming up, and then my side projects called Ohm Gang, and that I call myself Homicide, like with no H.
Okay.
So that's dropping soon. Um, and then I guess with my music as a whole, like I'm now mostly focusing on putting out like the XXX Tentacion Juice World Little Peep style, like sad, deep emotional stuff.
Mhm.
Which I've shown some previews to a few people, and they didn't even believe it was me at first. But so I think I'm just keeping that under my name Zen Starwalker. It'll just be kind of like a direction I go for a little while, or maybe something I'll keep jumping back to. Um, I'm still going to be dropping like the hard aggressive stuff, just probably not as often, or at least until like my name gets out there a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then other than that, my other side projects are not in the hip hop genre. I'm doing metal and like hardcore punk stuff.
Under the same name, or is that a different name as well?
Different names. So like the metal stuff is under a band called Oceans of Elysium. And it's just me by myself. I do the drums, the vocals, guitars, all that stuff. And then the punk is under a band name called Solo Leveling, like the anime.
Mm-hmm.
But the at is like Solo Leveling Punk. It's kind of like a mix of, I would say, like older, like the 2000s era pop punk mixed with hardcore melodic skate punk,
Okay.
which is like very fast, aggressive stuff. So it kind of switches in between both.
Is that you solo as well as the
Yeah,
band, or oh,
yeah, just me.
okay? So you got a lot of, looks like you're gonna be having a lot of music coming out on a variety of things. Well,
Oh yeah, a lot.
good look on that. Yeah, just um, I agree with you about the not releasing out like not releasing albums. Like all of the independent people that I follow that have kind of built, none of them built it off of like an album that blowed up. It's literally like single, like a snowball, and each single just gets you bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't buy. People don't really buy albums anymore, from what I've heard.
No, they pick like the songs they like, right? So I figured that's the easiest way, and then that gives me, a month to prepare, record, promote, release.
Mhm.
Instead of taking a year to do an album that maybe only two of the songs get any traction, right?
Yeah, sure.
And
All
it's
right.
all
Well,
about
thank you very much.
the algorithm too. So the
Hmm?
algorithm is very hit and miss.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you might as well, yeah, just even if you're gonna do an album, I'd still release them as 12 singles first and let them, each one do its own thing to promo.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the interview. I do appreciate you coming through. Um,
Absolutely. Thanks for
I'll
having me.
definitely, in the description, when I redo it, I'll have your information and all that there of where they can find you and what you have coming up. And thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.
All right. You too. Peace.
All right. Peace.
All right, y'all. That was another one holding court one more time. That was Zen Starwalker. Make sure y'all check my description later. You can see his information. Follow him on Instagram. Follow him on all social media. Check his singles. Check his stuff out. Support. Show love. Let him know that King Mumbles sent you.